playing Marvel Rivals is getting tiresome. As soon as I see something, I automatically get fatigued about it. For example, when I load into a rank match and see these type of players. First one is the Lord Champion Icon players, especially if we're in GM. I already know that these players are basically hard stuck at this rank for a good reason. They're either just heal bots, keep playing the same way but don't improve, or they're just there for the vibes, so they will just do whatever they want. And these players literally just make everything way worse because they just drag you down with them. The next thing, if I see instant lock DPS, especially if there's 4 of them, I instantly want to get off and just surrender because I know my match is going to go so bad that we're not even going to win. It's just a waste of time. Like, let me just get out of this match and hopefully the matchmaking gives me better teammates next time. If you see 1 tank on your team and no 2 tanks, that's basically saying that nobody on your team knows how to play tank. And if you get lucky, you probably get like 1 tank player that knows how to play tank. But other than that, you're basically cooked. You're even more cooked if the enemy team has 2 dedicated tank players that know how to play tank. That's when you know this game is fried, and that's when you know you just want to get off for the night. Now, if you see 3 supports, that's when you know that this game is beyond more, is way worse than 2 tanks because you get enough sustain, but nobody's doing enough damage or nobody's doing enough frontlining for the game to be actually winnable. People just go on 3 supports because they're either bad, you're either playing bad, or they're just too lazy. They just want a free easy win, so they go support, hoping that someone else does all the hard lifting for them to get out this rank. But all these things, as soon as you see them, you automatically want to surrender or just get off for the night. Another thing that makes me want to get off is the meta. When you load into a rank match, you always see the same bands over and over. It gets so boring to the point where, like, as soon as you load in, you already know the band Gambit, Devil Dino, Daredevil, Black Cat, Groot, Star-Lord, Bucky, Punisher, whoever else, and you can just keep banning them over and over, and Phoenix. And what's way worse, as soon as the ban phase is over, you see the same picks. You see people going Magneto, you see people going Emma, you see people going Strange. All these people are just S tier picks, and they're always getting picked over and over. So much to the point where, like, it's getting so boring. You don't see any uniqueness in this game at all. People are just picking the same picks, doing the same strategy over and over. They're always pulling off the same ults. And what's crazy is that your teammates don't even see this coming. They just keep falling for the same traps over and over. And you keep losing the same fights over and over, even though they experienced it for the last 50 match of this season. Another thing is the gameplay style. If the enemy team is running triple support, or they're running 2 tanks and 1 DPS, they usually end up having a tight formation where if you try to dive triple support, the chances of you getting elimination is so low. It's so sustain heavy to the point, like, if you're solo queuing and your team isn't locked in, having the awareness to know that maybe something needs to be switched up, like going triple DPS or getting more damage to mess up their sustain. If they can't see that, then that game is basically over. And if you play this game a lot, you already know once you see this, you just want to get off for the night. Another thing is the skin distribution. You'll be like scrolling on Twitter, looking on Marvel Rivals updates, and you see that Salak got another skin or Luna Snow got another skin. And it gets to the point where, like, bro, when is my favorite hero that hasn't even got a skin gonna get a skin? And it gets so much to the point where, like, at this point you might as well play quick play or just lock in whatever you want. And that kind of leads into my last point, where you know Marvel Rivals is getting so fatigued when you just don't care anymore. You load into rank, you just pick whatever you want and just go with it. Especially if you're solo queuing, I can care less what my teammates say. If they say, yo, get off of DPS, even though we got like quadruple them or 3 DPS, I automatically just go on the mic and say I don't care and just go in. Because I know if I let someone else DPS, it isn't gonna go well. And even if they're a good or decent DPS player, it doesn't matter. Half of this game is literally decided by the matchmaking system. I think another sign that you're getting fatigued from this game is when you start becoming toxic, or your mentality literally starts becoming worse over time. What I'm saying is that, like, I remember I used to go games without saying anything, especially if someone was trash talking me, because I honestly wouldn't care. I knew I was better than them. But it comes to a point where, like, yo, I had enough of these players thinking they know more than me or think they're better than me, especially when they're hard stuck in a certain rank and you only been there for like a season or so. Or when you've been through enough rank games that every time you queue up, you're basically nervous or anxious, like, oh, bro, I hope I don't get these type of players, or I hope this match goes well, because if not, you can already see from like 10 miles ahead that if you don't get these type of specific circumstances, that the game is basically over for you, or you basically have to go above and beyond to even carry that game, or to even win that game to begin with. Now, these are more niche specific things, but when I see a Lord Champion Icon Invis on my team, for some reason there's like a bunch of them, and it's almost apparent that every time I go into a rank game, I either see a Luna, a Cloak and Dagger, or an Invis Champion Icon, and they usually end up being around like level 80 to 100, and they're so, how you say it, they're not bad, but most of them end up having like this worst attitude, or most of them just play in the most predictable ways possible, or they usually end up being both. They literally do all the groundwork as a support player, but they also expect the DPS and tank players to do their best, even though they can switch up their gameplay style to help out the team a bit. And that's what I mean, like these players, as soon as you see them, they're so hard-headed and so prideful in the way they play that you know that they're not going to switch up anything what they do to win the game. It gets crazy to the point where they even start being toxic or even getting more aggressive with the other support on their team by spamming, oh, you ult first, because if we ult together, that's basically GG. I mean, they're right, but they say in the most toxic way possible. The next one is when you see the champion tank players. Nah, I don't have anything bad about tank players, but if you see a champion tank player, especially a Magneto, a Strange, or any type of champion icon, you know that their game is probably going to be cooked or it's going to be way harder than it actually is. Because if you think about it deeply, these players will also be like the Invis. They'll be above like level 60, 80, or 100, and they'll be hard stuck GM. And part of me is like, why are they in GM to begin with? Why aren't they in the Celestial or even Eternity? And the thing is that they play in the most predictable, most boring way possible. So much to the point that they don't even improve because they're so prideful and they're so used to playing a certain way that you know as soon as you get them in your team, your game is going to require a lot of legwork in order for you to win. You know what's crazy? Now I think about it, this goes for any role. If you see a champion DPS player, you already know your game is cooked as well. Especially if you see like some champion Wanda, champion Squirrel Girl, champion whatever it is, DPS, you already know that his game is fried. Because these players are hard stuck for a reason, that they're going to play in the most predictable ways possible. They're going to play in the most prideful ways. They don't improve. They're just mediocre at this game for some reason. And when you see those icons, you know that this game is fried. You're going to require a lot of work from them. Not a lot of work from them. A lot of work on your part just to win this game. You're going to have to set them up. You're going to have to do a lot of peeling. You're going to have to do a lot of frontlining. You're going to have to do a lot of work behind the scenes for these players to even have for these players to pop off or do something impactful for the game. And it's crazy because these players can't do it themselves. This also goes for literally supports and DPS players, because when you see those champion lore icons, you know they're hard stuck. It's because they play they play ways where they don't adapt to any of their circumstances. They just know one way to how to do it. Now, let's say someone ults and they ult back to counteract that ult. Sometimes that can work, but sometimes that requires a little bit more. Like your awareness needs to be higher. Sometimes when someone ults, maybe you have a good counter where you don't need an ult right away. But some of these players don't know that. They basically play in the most predictable ways possible. And the thing is, what makes it really fatiguing is getting these players or getting these type of players every single match. Especially with the matchmaking in this game, since it's designed to keep you playing for way longer, it gives you matches where these players are always constant in your matches. And I think the last thing is literally the matchmaking system in this game. The matchmaking literally is so rigged that you will have free wins simply because the enemy team has quadruple DPS, or because the teammates on your team literally are like two good tank players, two good DPS players, and people that actually want to play support. And sometimes you even get a smurf in there on your team. I think the last thing that really makes me want to get off this game is when I start thinking to myself what Marvel Rivals is Like, if you think about it, what type of game is Marvel Rivals? And I think like, yo, they have so many broken abilities or so many broken heroes that this game is literally, I keep forgetting that this game is literally designed to be casual, because if they made it so fair, literally most of the player base that plays Marvel Rivals will literally just leave because it requires so much skill to play. But they don't do that at all. So that's why I think to myself, like, why am I taking this game so serious? Like, the only way to combat this fatigueness is literally just to not care anymore, especially if you're playing ranked. Just lock in whatever you want, know you're a good player, have the confidence, or just practice and just go in there. You see people just like, oh, Widow to like Celestial, Spider-Man to Celestial, like they do all these dumb challenges where they just go like a specific role or a specific hero, and they end up doing really good. And that's what I mean, like, since Marvel Rivals isn't open queue, no one can literally say, yo, why do we have triple support? Like, bro, if you really care about triple support, don't even play Marvel Rivals, because they don't even have role queue to combat this. People try to implement this third rule or this unspoken rule that like, oh yeah, you have to follow this team setup, this team composition. But honestly, I just don't care. Honestly, I just lock in whatever I want and go, I'm already GM1, Grandmaster 1 in this game, simply just by doing whatever I want. Sometimes if my players or my teammates are really friendly, or they know, I can see they actually know what they're doing, then I'll just go another tank, or I'll just go another support. I wouldn't constantly force triple D or quadruple DPS. Only if my teammates are literally just people solo queuing like me, and they don't care, but they're bad at the game. Like, I'm not putting my faith in these randoms, especially when you get on the mic and be like, yo, can you go support? Like, bro, if you're worried about support, just go support yourself. Like, I don't know why you're here trying to talk me going to support. Like, you go support yourself. What's even funnier is that these people end up crashing out in your games and typing in, oh, chat, guys, surrender, report this player because he went triple DPS. Or when you accidentally ban their hero, not accidentally, but if someone bans their hero, they end up crashing out. I'm like, bro, like, is it that serious?